Welcome into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. Christian Gokel alongside the illustrious Cody James Queen.
I think
here.
Christian's a little mad because I just told him that I won't be here next
Yeah,
Friday.
Cody completely misread the Brave schedule and thought he had a day off, in which he didn't. So now I will be working for Cody. But that's a whole nother story. But we are glad to have you alongside on this Thursday afternoon. As we mentioned right there, we are now 7 days away from Atlanta Braves baseball right here on ESPN Radio. From Hilton Head to Savannah to Brunswick and Waycross, we will have you completely covered down the coast with all the Atlanta Braves baseball coming up in 2021. Really excited about that, Cody. Max Fried, I think a lot of people saw this coming, has been named the opening day starter for the Atlanta Braves. And I want to find the tweet, and I'll get back to it, but he is one of 3 guys who are currently pitching in Major League Baseball who all went to the same high school that will be pitching on opening day for their teams. Really? That's a hell of a high school. That's kind of was it Nick Foles, Drew Brees, and Matt Stafford all went to the same high school in Texas? I believe those 3 guys did. So it's like you just every now and then, every now and then you'll find those pipeline high schools that just send out a certain position. But really excited to have Atlanta Braves baseball coming up here in a week's time. Braves currently playing right now, and I think playing with what you're probably going to see be their everyday roster. Cody, currently playing the Rays right now.
0-0.
Yeah, but right now you have Acuna leading off, Albies, Freeman, Ozuna, Darno, Swanson, Riley, Pache, and Smiley pitching today. But I think 1 through 8 is pretty much what you were going to see to start the season. And the only, alterations you'll probably see from that is if Pache comes out slow, because he has not had a great spring training. I believe until a couple days ago he was batting .08 in his spot there, but obviously stellar defense. Do you feel like the top of the order can kind of compensate for that, or do you put him in a platoon basis up there once Ender Inciarte gets back? But again, Acuna, Albies, Freeman, Ozuna, Darno, Swanson, Riley, Pache, what I think is probably what you're going to end up seeing to start the season. But man, just excited to have Braves baseball coming back, Cody. And really that first week of Braves baseball, again, starting on April 1st, that Thursday, a lot of day games coming up for the Bravos to start it off. And we will have all of that coverage for you. So if you can't be at home to watch the game on TV, you need to listen to them on the radio, just tune in to ESPN Coastal. We'll have full coverage for you. Start with a 3-game series at Philadelphia, and then you head and take on the Nationals for a 3-game series as well. And then finally on April 9th, going to have a night game, and you will welcome the Phillies in for a 3-game set as you open it up at Truist Park, where fans will be allowed in attendance. What did I say, 33% to start the season off? But it's
going to be more fans than a Miami game.
Yeah, exactly. But just astronomically more than you had last year, right? At least you're going to have will it look like maybe a noon game in the middle of July? Sure. But at least you'll have fans in the stands. I guarantee you they're selling every single one of those tickets. It's going to be such a big difference.
And the thing with this year, it made us miss. I'm not a big baseball fan, but now I am like chomping at the bit that I didn't know before I lost it. You know what I mean? Like You don't know what you have until it's gone. And now I am super ready. I'm super ready to see the kids in the stands. That's what I want. Yeah, with their parents, going there with their dads and their moms and making memories again.
Seeing the little guys like catch the baseball and then like hand it to the cute girl.
Yep.
Up there.
And I also want to see what type of weird, because baseball is known for this weird food type of stuff. I want to see what kind of weird snacks they're going to have this year.
Oh, yeah. All kinds of crazy hot dogs and pretzels all across Major League Baseball. But again, they're going to be doing the pods seating. So you can buy, I believe, between 2 and 4 tickets for each game. Nice. And then you sit in your quote unquote pod and they spread you out throughout the stadium. But I think just having someone in the stands. Remember what we were doing last year this time, Cody? Or not even this time because we were delayed. But when we kicked off the season in July was you were having just cardboard cutouts. Were the only spectators beyond the officials and a few stadium workers that were there just kind of kicked up watching the game. So really excited to have Braves baseball coming back up. Have a few things we want to dive into today. Interesting story out of college football in Oklahoma that we're going to dive into. The Corn Ferry Tour is in Savannah this week for the Club Car Championship at the Landings. We'll dive into that a little bit as well. Some interesting signings from the Atlanta Falcons so far. They go out and get another DB yesterday. Cody, today is International Waffle Day. That's an important conversation that we need to have. Kevin and I yelled at each other yesterday. We'll dive into that as well.
That's pretty funny.
But I do want to start with Gardner Minshew because yesterday the Jags go out and sign C.J. Beathard from the 49ers. And so now, theoretically, you will have Trevor Lawrence coming in as your number one pick, and then you go out and get your backup quarterback. Where does that leave Gardner Minshew? A dude who is 6-6 as a starter with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, that's a pretty impressive stat. He's got a really good touchdown-interception ratio. He had some bad moments, but I think 6-6 as a starting quarterback with the Jags is nothing to shake your head at. And now it appears he's on the market. Do you think he's a viable starter for a team in this league, or do you see somebody throwing like a seventh for a backup?
I definitely could see him as a starter in certain teams. I feel like the Broncos would actually rather have him than Drew Lock. I feel like there's a few other teams.
Lock, Gardner Minshew quarterback battle.
Yeah,
that's a sad state of affairs.
It'd be very sad, but they're one of the teams that are so desperate for a quarterback. That's what they're going to go try to do. But I could definitely see him as a backup quarterback. I think he'd be a pretty good backup quarterback, maybe be in a conversation for the 49ers. I feel like that they could use him over there. As you just said, they just lost a backup. Also, I could see him going to be a backup, maybe kind of get into the mix with the Washington football team. It'd be fun to see him go over there, but he'd be a good backup for the Giants. Giants don't really have a good backup at all. I could definitely see them getting him too. I was seeing a little bit of rumors that they are looking for another option at quarterback for a backup, because Daniel Jones had some injury issues, so I could definitely see that.
I mean, again, 2019 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he starts 12 games, goes 6-6, completes 60% of his passes, over 3,000 yards, 21 touchdowns to 6 interceptions as a starting quarterback there for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, last year was weird. He only started 8 games, 1-7 in those games, but still improved his completion percentage through completed 66% of his passes, and then through 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. And the Jags were as bad last year. Some accusations of tanking. Obviously, you end up firing Doug Marrone at the end of the year, bring in Urban Meyer. So I'm not putting last year on Gardner Minshew. I definitely think he'll be a serviceable quarterback somewhere if they do decide to move him. Maybe you just bring in C.J. Beathard right now and let him and Gardner Minshew battle it out, because you think maybe we need somebody else besides Trevor Lawrence week 1. But do you think, Cody, C.J. Beathard comes in, Jags trade Gardner Minshew for like a 4th or a 5th, and they draft Trevor Lawrence? Who's the week 1 starter for the Jags?
Trevor Lawrence.
I agree.
I think, and that's the best. That's the way it's been going for the rookies. If they're not starting day one, what are you doing? It's very odd for them not to start day one these days. It's very old school to think of, let's sit behind someone, let them develop. Not no more. When you get drafted high, quarterback, you come in and you play.
If you need a quarterback, but you have the situation in Green Bay last year where your first overall pick didn't see a snap in the playoffs because you drafted a quarterback behind Aaron Rodgers. So there are still some circumstances where you'll draft a quarterback, but if you're drafted number 1 overall, usually it means you don't have your franchise.
When's the last time a number 1 overall didn't start first game?
That's a good question.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. Baker Mayfield started. Kyler Murray started. Who else started? Baker Mayfield did not start.
I was going to say Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah,
I was going to say Tyrod Taylor started.
When I saw your face, I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, click. And Justin Herbert didn't start last year because of
Tyrod Taylor.
So you're answering your own questions there, Cody.
Yeah, I know. But
in a situation like that where you don't have a quarterback there and they haven't gone out and signed anybody that's great, right? Like, you haven't started a guy who's been a consistent starting quarterback. C.J. Beathard started games before, but I got to think Jacksonville, you draft Trevor Lawrence and you have C.J. Beathard there. He's got to be a guy that Trevor Lawrence can bounce ideas off of, learn from at practice, inside the quarterback room. I got to think week 1, Trevor Lawrence is the guy.
I can't wait to see him too. Can't wait to see him. He's very much kind of looks like a Florida/California kid, even though he's
sunshine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and he's going to do well hanging out in Jacksonville Beach over there, Fernandina.
Hopefully not too much of that.
Yeah, hopefully not too much. But I think he's going to be fun to watch. I think he needs to start day one. And I think he's going to be on fire from the beginning.
I think it brings,
as long as they give him weapons.
I think it brings some offensive firepower that you haven't seen in Jacksonville maybe ever.
Push butts and seats. I go to a lot of Jags games, and sometimes it's depressing.
Yeah,
a lot of the
looks
times,
like a Marlins game.
Yeah, a lot of the times it's it looks like an away game because Bills.
Steelers
Colts,
come to town. Steelers come to town. It's over.
It's bad. So hopefully they put more butts in the seats. I like to see a franchise do well. I don't want to see any franchise do bad besides the Raiders.
No, I don't think I'm out of. I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say he would be the most popular offensive piece they've ever added. Like, they've had some great offensive players. Maurice Jones-Drew immediately comes to mind. Leonard Fournette was obviously a good running back for them. But in terms of just popularity and, like you said, ability to sell tickets to come see this guy, they've had amazingly recognizable faces on the defensive side of the ball.
Like Reggie Nelson from Florida. He was very good.
I mean, he would maybe be like 10th on my list. I'd say
Jalen Ramsey.
Well, yeah, I was going to say Jalen Ramsey, Miles Jack, Calais Campbell, those guys.
From that one team, but if you want to talk about longevity, and a lot of them play college in Florida, so a lot of them are fans of the Noles and the Gators.
Cody, you just love Reggie Nelson.
Yeah, because I play football against them.
You just love Reggie Nelson, but I don't know that people were solely buying tickets that weren't Reggie Nelson's family just to come watch Reggie Nelson play. I do think people will buy tickets to come see Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, 110%.
Yeah,
yes.
Like that's what I'm saying. And I think all of a sudden you draft him and the Jaguars go from becoming one of the 5 or 6 teams you just don't hear about on the national scale to a team that you're talking about pretty consistently, because when you bring in a quarterback like that, you're going to have ESPN, NFL Network, Fox Sports camped outside of your practice facilities at all times because you have Trevor Lawrence.
And they have a chance to do well in the division because you got the Colts having a QB issue. The Titans are good, but they lost a bunch.
Really good.
They lost a bunch on defense and stuff like that.
But they also added some stuff on defense too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
The offensive line is the best.
Yeah, I think the Titans are going to be really good, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility if Trevor Lawrence comes in year one and he's able to acclimate to the NFL climate that the Jags finished second in that division.
Yeah, because you look at the Texans. It's the dumpster fire.
It's a dumpster fire right now. The Colts, they're a good football team. I'll say that. Depends.
They'll go 9.
Depends on how Carson Wentz does.
That's true.
Like, if Carson Wentz can.
Are you a believer?
Not particularly. Not.
That was a quick answer, boy.
Not particularly. I think that team that went and won the Super Bowl that he gets a lot of credit for because of the regular season he had, I think that's just a damn good team. Like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, those dudes don't get near enough credit. The guys they have in the secondary up there don't get near enough credit for how good that defense was. The offense, I thought, played out of their minds. I've always loved Alshon.
Ertz was amazing.
Ertz was amazing. I've always loved Alshon Jeffrey, and they had a few other key pieces in where what's the tight end's name from Florida that was there as well that threw the Philly special. So they've always had good players on that team. I think Carson Wentz maybe gets a little too much credit because Nick Foles just kind of slid in and just pushed it over the goal line. So I'll believe it when I see it with Carson Wentz. I think Frank Reich's a really good coach. I think he's done good stuff with quarterbacks before. But again, I'll believe it when I see it. Trey Burton, thank you. I want to take a quick break here. We come back. Interesting story out of Oklahoma in college football. Kind of a little bit of talking out of both sides of your mouth from Lincoln Riley and the Sooners there. We'll dive into that when we come back. Also, Corn Ferry Tour in Savannah this week for the Club Car Championship at the Landings Club. We'll dive into that a little bit. Rich Stiles will be broadcasting live on Saturday morning for the Back Nine Boys from the Landings Club. So we'll have full coverage of the tournament coming up for you as we have some really good golf coming through Savannah right now. Going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back into Second Down right here on ESPN Radio. We are, of course, presented to you by the Uniform Source. Glad to have you alongside on this Thursday afternoon. Cody, you're saying your arm's a little sore?
Yeah,
right
I'm
now?
not having a good day. You have soccer on the screen. I got my vaccine shot. I'm not feeling.
Well, you only got 3.5 more hours to go here, Cody. You'll make it through. Yeah, we both got a shot in the arm this morning.
Yeah, you got the Johnson & Johnson.
Wow, why you put my business out there like that?
You put it on.
I did.
You put it on social media.
I did. But yeah, I mean, I feel there's a little.
I did miss my appointment the other day.
That's like the second time in 2 weeks you've done that. You had a vet appointment for your dog, and then you had a vaccination appointment, and both times you're like, oh snap!
I got a VA appointment next week. Hopefully, I don't.
I'll call you.
The 30th.
Let me put it on my calendar, and I'll call you.
Thanks, Boo.
But I wanted to dive into this because I think it's an interesting story out of Oklahoma, and it kind of dives into the heart of a conversation we've been having on this show and 3 and Out for a little while now. The transfer rules that are obviously beginning to change around college football. For a long time, it was really up to the discretion of the college, right? You knew what the standard was in the NCAA. Unless you were a grad transfer, if you transferred to another school, you were going to sit out a year. That's just the way it was. You could use a red shirt, and therefore you would have that 5th year of eligibility, but you had to sit out for a year. That's the rule in the NCAA. It still pretty much is the rule in the NCAA, but we've seen the appeals process be added more and more. Then after that, there was extra discretion added to conferences, right? I know there were a few SEC teams, not naming names, who even went above that and would say, not only can you not transfer inside the conference, you can't transfer to a school that we will play so long as you're in school. So if we look out and you have 3 years of eligibility, you can't transfer to any school we have listed out 3 years from now. You can't do it. Sorry about it. So not in the conference and not a bunch of probably localized out of conference schools, right? So those are some of the rules you see. The Big 12 has a rule to where you cannot transfer inside the conference. And if you do, you have to sit out for a year like the NCAA, but you lose that extra year tacked on at the end of eligibility if you do that. So instead of having potentially 5 to play 4, you would then have 4 to play 3 is what you're looking at there. So that's what brings us now.
That's absurd.
That's what brings us now to Oklahoma and Lincoln Riley. Quarterback Chandler Morris originally committed to Oklahoma and went and played at Oklahoma out of high school. He is the son of former Clemson offensive coordinator, Auburn offensive coordinator, and Arkansas head coach Chad Morris, right? Committed to go play football for Oklahoma. Doesn't look like he's going to get the starting job. Obviously, Spencer Rattler's that guy right now. So he decided he wants to transfer to TCU, go play for Gary Patterson in the Horned Frogs, right? Well, Lincoln Riley and the Sooners are currently blocking him. So what does that mean? What that means is Mr. Chandler Morris is at TCU going through practice right now, but he cannot be on scholarship for TCU, and he is not readily available to play right now. So it's kind of a crappy situation for Chandler. He just wants to go somewhere and play, wants to stay relatively close to home, go to a good school, and TCU is an amazing school. This is a direct quote from Lincoln Riley. Quote, "This particular situation for us is about something that we believe in. Myself, the leadership here at Oklahoma, we think it's unhealthy for college football to encourage intra-conference transfers. That's something that we've been adamantly opposed to for a long time." There's a bunch of different ways we can go with this, Cody. We can talk about how it's just a bad look and why would you say this if you're Lincoln Riley. But the way I want to go to it is this. Cody, do you remember what Oklahoma did in 2017?
No.
They went to the Rose Bowl and lost to Georgia.
Yes, I know that one.
During that time, Baker Mayfield won the Heisman Trophy and was unquestionably the most popular quarterback in college football. Maybe top 10 most popular quarterbacks, regardless of college or pro. Just an amazingly famous person. The on-field antics, the amazing play, the record-breaking performances he put on. It was Baker Mayfield, right? Well, according to Lincoln Riley, Baker Mayfield should never have played at Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield transferred to Oklahoma from Texas Tech.
Yep. Walk on, baby.
Where he was with Cliff Kingsbury as a walk-on, played as a freshman, played well, got hurt, and then didn't receive a scholarship offer from Texas Tech, right? And so he then decides to seek opportunity elsewhere and goes where? Oklahoma.
Okie.
And during this time, Cliff Kingsbury did very much the same as what Lincoln Riley is doing now, where they blocked Baker Mayfield, said you cannot be put on scholarship. We're not releasing you from that. Sorry about it, right? Eventually, they would relent and say you can go on scholarship at Oklahoma, but we still want that extra year. And so 2013 was Baker Mayfield's freshman year at Texas Tech. 2014, he transfers to Oklahoma, but has to sit out a year. And then 15 and 16, Baker Mayfield's able to play. Smoke checks Texas Tech a couple times during that. One of them was the crazy back and forth affair with Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah.
Where they put up astronomical
like
numbers.
7 touchdowns each, something like that.
Yeah, but he was 2-0 against it. And so when you come to the end of that season, so what you're looking at is Baker Mayfield played his freshman year, sat out his sophomore year, played technically his junior and senior years of academic eligibility college football. For most other players in other conferences, he would have been able to redshirt that sophomore year and technically would have been a redshirt senior or a redshirt junior in 2016. But because of this weird, crazy rule inside the Big 12, Baker Mayfield was either going to have to grad transfer outside of the conference and go play his final year of college football somewhere else, or he would have had to go pro. Well, Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma, I'm sure, used their considerable influence on the Big 12. They've won it now X number of years in a row, used their considerable influence with the Big 12, and the rules got changed for Baker Mayfield. 7-3 vote from the Big 12 allowed walk-ons that didn't receive a scholarship offer from their old school to transfer inside the Big 12 without incurring a penalty, right? And so they bent the rules or changed the rules for Baker Mayfield, allowed him to come back. 2017, Lincoln Riley's the head coach now at Oklahoma, and he has a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, goes to the college football playoff, and is a play away from playing in the national championship game. It's just so lame, man. Like, if a kid's not going to work out with your program and he wants to transfer, and it's intra-conference, right? Like, it could literally be from Oklahoma to South Texas, right? It could be Oklahoma to name any other state, right? That's what you're worried about, is seeing one kid out of 85 kids on another team on average. You're worried about seeing that one kid come back. I mean, I don't understand what the argument is against allowing a kid to transfer. You're not even arguing now against the NCAA rule. You're wanting to punish the kid further for transferring,
especially when like a coach leaves.
Well, that was going to be my next point. Do you know where Lincoln Riley used to coach? Texas Tech.
Oh yeah. I
mean, get the hell out of here, man.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, coaches can leave whenever they want to, go take a new job whenever they want to, get out of contracts, have the school pay the buyout to their old school and go to the new school, i.e. Jimbo Fisher at Texas Tech and Florida State, right? You coaches can leave whenever they want to. Kids can transfer whenever they want to, but you want to block them because you're scared to play them. I just find it incredibly lame. And I look at it, Cody, and I think you're doing yourself a disservice, because eventually Chandler Morris is going to get cleared and he's going to get put on scholarship. But if you do something to the like of you stick to your guns on this and he has to sit out and he loses an extra year of eligibility, you're willing to take a year of, let's call it what it is, a kid's amateur sports away from him. You're willing to do that as a grown-ass man. You're willing to sit there and take a kid's eligibility away from him because he doesn't want to play for anymore, because he's probably not going to play.
Well, and they're not going to realize that might hurt recruiting.
That was going to be exactly my next point.
Exactly. Some people are going to be like, well, they like to screw people over a lot, and I don't like being screwed over, so I'm not going there. And hopefully the recruits start doing that. I actually hope they do, so they can show, hey, man, we do have power.
I've said that about Dabo Swinney before, which is like, you can think this, but maybe run it through PR first before you verbalize. And Dabo's had multiple instances of this, like saying, like, if we're going to start paying players, it might be time for me to just go ahead and go to pro coaching.
Like,
good luck with it. Good luck with it, dude. Have fun. Go ahead and do it. But there's like everybody who has been sitting there trying to recruit these 17-year-olds is like,
yep,
like head in their hands saying, Dabo, why would you say this? But I don't understand why you say that. If you're going to block them, block them. But you don't have to come out and get on your soapbox and verbalize this about how you're actively trying to take a year away from a kid's sporting life where, let's be completely honest, most kids don't play football post high school, and even less of them play football post college. And so this is probably Chandler Morris, taking nothing away from Chandler Morris, but if you just look statistically, this is probably Chandler Morris's last 4 years to play football,
precious
in
time.
his life. Precious and you time. Are willing, as the head coach at Oklahoma, where you can literally go get any quarterback you want to, you already have your starting quarterback, you're willing to take his 1 year away from him. I think it's lame.
It's precious time. As me being in my 30s now, precious time.
Like if you're a parent, and your son or your daughter are playing sports and they decide, they're like, listen, I'm not getting an opportunity to play here. There's another great school that I can go to. It's in the same conference, and I'm being offered a scholarship, and I can go there and I can play, and it's something I want to do. And then the old coach is like, I mean, that's fine, but you're going to lose a year.
Dude, I'd be irate. Like you only have 4 years, maybe 5 years to play.
What's the flip side of this for Lincoln Riley? Chandler Morris says, coach, I know I'm not going to play. I appreciate the effort. And like, again, I get the athletic side of it. You always have to be competing. You always have to be thinking, I'm A1. I'm going to be the starter. That's all well and good. You think any of the walk-on quarterbacks at Clemson think they're going to start over DJ Uiagalelei? Like, let's be real about this. So he realizes he's not going to start, or he says, coach, you made the decision. I'm not the starter. I'm a competitor, but this is a decision you make. You've said Spencer Rattler's the guy you're rocking with. I want to play. I'm going to go out to TCU and compete for that starting job. I think I got the starting job. I think if you're Lincoln Riley, you just got to be like, let me know if I can do anything for you. Like, if you need anything, we're right here. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your effort. We appreciate you coming to Oklahoma and playing for us for free. Good luck in your next endeavor at wherever you go. We will welcome you back with open arms. If you ever decide you want to come back, it's just such a better look to recruits. And then what does he do? He'll tell anybody that asks him about you, best guy I ever met.
Yep.
The best guy I ever met. But instead, you now have turned this into a national controversy where people are ticked off at you. Right?
Yeah, and you turn your back on the kid and you punish him. So not only are you turning your back on him, you are punishing him for being pretty much young, because a lot of these kids make decisions that are a little rash, a little quick. You know what I mean?
Yep. And
me being, whenever I joined the Army and all that stuff, whenever I first joined, I kind of had to grind it through it. I felt like, I'm like, man, because I went to Iraq real quick. If I could have changed my decision, and I'm not going to lie, I probably would have, because I had a son and all that stuff. But I didn't. And it's not the same thing as college football, because it's nowhere near this. You know what I mean? It's not even in the same stratosphere. I was about to say,
let's talk about the difference in that. You're literally signing up to defend a country.
Yeah.
These guys are playing a game.
And they're going to take a year away from their youth in college sports because they changed their mind, or their coach left, or they didn't start because they actually want to play the game and they know there's another freaking college where they can play and have fun and actually enjoy their time. Instead, they're punishing them. A whole year when you're young seems like a lifetime, dude. So when they do this, it gets me so mad. And then when they speak out in their stupid little mouth, say some stupid little stuff, it just irritates me, dude. It just irritates me.
Well, and then I think the NCAA, and there have been arguments about this, and this is why I think the way it works right now is good with the appeals process. Right now, you still have to sit out a year unless you file an appeal and your appeal gets approved by the NCAA. Then you can play. I think that's fine. But you're not losing a year, because you get that year. If you have a red shirt, you can get that year on the back end. Then you also have the grad transfer stuff where you go to your school, you graduate, you can transfer to another school without penalty for a year. So I think the way the system works right now is okay. I know there's a lot of people who want to see it just completely open transfers.
Me.
I don't know. I think there needs to be more research done into that. BJ's with you. BJ completely agrees with you. He thinks he should be able to leave whenever. I would say there are rules inside the NCAA where you have to be enrolled in classes. And so if you want to leave in October, I mean, I guess you can leave, but you're not playing football immediately, because you can't just that's not even football. That's just college. If you leave,
I agree with that.
If you leave school, there are very little universities around the country, especially at this level, that are going to allow you to enroll mid-semester and hop into a full course of classes enough to make you eligible to play football, right? So I think the way this system is right now in terms of transfers, where we now have an appeal process, and they're approving almost every appeal. I know it's John Fitzpatrick that transferred from Georgia. literally for the excuse the reason they asked you to give, the reason they asked you to give, which is why are you moving up there? He said, my grandfather is literally dying. And he moved up there and they didn't approve his. So there needs to be a much more clear appeals process. But that being said, what Lincoln Riley is saying is just asinine. I don't get it, and I don't understand why that's the hill you're dying on. We got more to come here on Second Down. We'll dive into some news from around the world of sports when we come back. Shugo Kell alongside Cody Queen right here on Second Down. Cody, you can't bring it back before the drop, man.
I tried.
You gotta let it drop. A little Weezer here for you on a Thursday afternoon. Christian Gokel alongside Cody Queen. Glad to have you alongside. Cam Ursery will be back with us tomorrow afternoon. Georgia Southern currently in the middle of spring practice. Had their pro day today as well. We'll catch up with McLean Baxley from the Savannah Morning News coming up on 3 and Out. Also going to talk with Rich Stiles. Corn Ferry Tour is making its appearance in Savannah at the Landings Club. We'll dive into that with Rich Stiles. Cody, what is a Corn Ferry? And why has it made its way to Savannah? Don't worry, you don't have to answer. We'll find out with Rich Stiles.
Is it like a mythological creature, like a fairy?
So. I think it is. But we'll catch up with Rich Stiles and dive into that. Again, as I mentioned, McLean Baxley coming up, and then we'll catch up with Bud Ellis. Talk a little bit of Braves with Bud Ellis coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour as well. But Cody, Lee Smith is one of the new signings for the Atlanta Falcons. I kind of have mixed reactions about some of the stuff he said in his press conference yesterday because, number one, he said that he was considering retiring and would only sign with a couple of teams, which I'm glad the Atlanta Falcons were one of those teams, but usually
Why say it like that?
But usually when people say that, it means I'm only willing to sign with a couple of teams, i.e. contenders. But sounds like some of the stuff Lee Smith was saying, he's excited to sign with the Atlanta Falcons because he wanted to be back in the South, and Atlanta, he likes the city of Atlanta, so he'll come play, get a payday from the Falcons and come play in Atlanta. So I was like, kind of mixed reactions on that, but then he just completely swayed me, and I now want to buy a Lee Smith jersey when he said the following statements. The new Falcons tight end said, quote, "I like having my hand in the dirt and partying with the O-line. I'm the run game guy. I'm in there to make sure the other team don't hit the running back or Matt Ryan." Blow that up, print it out, paint it on top of the Atlanta Falcons facilities in Flowery Branch. Every room, everywhere. I don't want anybody to be able to walk anywhere without seeing that exact quote.
Love him. Motivated right here in the heart. He's actually ranked pretty good on PFF too. So not only his play's good, he's got the swagger to back.
And he didn't stop there, Cody. Here's another quote you can print out and put on t-shirts. I'm gonna put my hand. I'm gonna put my hand in the dirt right next to the tackle and get into a phone booth fight.
That's dope, dude.
When was the last time an Atlanta Falcons player had that kind of mentality?
Almost the same motivation as Ben gives me whenever he gives his speech.
Sure, but Ben has literally said the opposite. We're going to talk about this on 3 and Out. Ben said, "Yeah, I'll be your tight end as long as you don't expect me to block." Like Ben has said that multiple times.
Yeah, he did.
He said, "I'll come back and catch passes. Just don't make me go up against 290-pound freak athlete defensive ends, and we're good to go." And so Lee Smith is just we put it in here. Lee Smith is the anti-Ben Troop. Like he is the other tight end. Like Ben's the big high money tight end that you pay to go catch passes, make your quarterback look real good. Lee Smith's on the other side of the line, just doing the dirty work. And my man loves it. And I'm so excited about it. And it's just, I have said this repeatedly. You can go out and you can identify a position of need for the Atlanta Falcons. You can tell me what kind of scheme they need to run. You can tell me they need to go back to more of that Kyle Shanahan big play action offense, utilize Julio Jones in this way, or this way. Kyle really needs to line up here. Here's what's wrong with the defense. Bop. That's fine. You know, it's been my biggest problem with the Atlanta Falcons for a while. They're soft. Relative to other teams in the NFL, have you ever seen a game where you're like, man, the Falcons out there popping?
No.
Like the Falcons are back there resetting the line of scrimmage, dropping the other offensive line in their quarterback's lap, right? Have you ever seen a team come out of a Falcons game just like, that was war? Like there's a few teams I think of like that, and they're usually the teams you think of at the top of the leagues. Like I'm not saying the Kansas City Chiefs, and obviously they're the standard bearers right now. They're not necessarily that kind of team. But when you have Patrick Mahomes in that offense, you don't have to be. But think about the Steelers. It doesn't matter what the Steelers' record is. When you play that team, it's going to hurt.
You're TJ Watt.
Right.
Decleat you.
But I mean, just think about over the last few years. I mean, Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, those kind of guys that have played for them forever. And now you have a new era of guys like Bud Dupree was up there for a while, like up there just knocking people out, right? Cam Hayward, one of the more underrated players in the National Football League. You play the Baltimore Ravens.
Who was the giant guy? Remember, he always posted a workout videos and everything?
Like he played for the Giants, or he's actually a Giant guy?
He played for the Steelers.
I don't know. If you say his name, I might remember him. But I think of the Ravens too, right? You play that team, it's the black and blue division, right? You play the Ravens, it's going to hurt. You play the Seattle Seahawks, it's gonna hurt. And they don't have the Legion of Boom anymore, but just the mentality of that defense it hurts to play them, right? I would love to see the Atlanta Falcons get back to that. And now you have a tight end who's being brought in as a blocking tight end, voicing that kind of mentality. Like I said, print this out, wear it on every single t-shirt. And I need the Falcons to embrace that, because I don't care who you draft. I don't care what you go and do. It has to come from the top. It has to come from Terry Fontenot. It has to come from Arthur Smith. Go ahead.
James Harrison.
James. Oh my God.
Yeah, dude.
Yes. Like literally used to do volleyball workouts where they were playing quote unquote sand volleyball, but really they're throwing 100-pound D balls over the. Yeah, no. James Harrison's a bad man. Like would never want to meet him, and he's cross with me.
Or even like bump into him into like supermarket.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just crumble if you do that. But no, it's just, Cody, you've watched the NFL for a long time. I mean, the Broncos have had a defense like that, right? Derek Wolfe, Von Miller. We were talking about this the other day. You had Shaq Barrett as like your third edge rusher, right? Because you had Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware. You had hitters in the secondary. Even going back to the Broncos Super Bowl years, you had Steve Atwater, and then you had our man, the offensive lineman, Mark Schlereth.
Yeah, Champ Bailey, boy.
Well, I mean, Champ Bailey, I'm not saying Champ Bailey can't tackle, but Champ was not known.
Champ Bailey was hitting,
but that's not what Champ Bailey was known for. Champ Bailey was known for being a lockdown corner. But both sides, right? You had Terrell Davis running for 2,000 yards. You had Mark Schlereth, who's just a nasty offensive lineman. Flip side of that, like I said, you had Steve Atwater out there just knocking people out. I want to see that from the Atlanta Falcons, because that's something that transfers to the playoffs, and that means you're always going to be competitive in a game. If you can just be tough and teams can not look forward to playing you, I think that would be a huge benefit. I'm loving the mindset that Lee Smith is bringing in here for the Atlanta Falcons, because that's been my biggest problem with him for a long time. Some of the signings or some of the drafts I've seen, I'm liking it a little bit. You go get Marlon Davidson out of Auburn last year. I really like that because he's that kind of player, right? You go sign Dante Fowler. He didn't have a great year last year, but he's that kind of player. Grady Jarrett, he's that kind of player. He just can't do it by himself. A guy I know a lot of fans love, Dion Jones. I think he's a great cover linebacker, and I think he's probably one of the top 10, 15 inside linebackers in the NFL. He's not going to put you on your butt, though, and that's where I think Foye Oluokun is doing a better job, but still, I don't think it's just the players themselves. I think it's a team-wide mentality. And like I said, that starts from the top. You go get Arthur Smith. You go get Dean Pease as your defensive coordinator. I think you might see that start to turn around a little bit for the Atlanta Falcons this year. We got more to come. We'll come back. Final segment of Second Down next. Final segment here on Second Down. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. Big show coming up, though, on 3 and Out. We'll catch up with Rich Stiles from the Back Nine Boys. Corn Ferry Tour has made its way to Savannah this week for the Club Car Championship at the Landings Club. Also going on right now, Cody, the WGC Dell Technologies Play Tournament. Talked to Rich a little bit about that as well. McLean Baxley, the Savannah Morning News, is going to join us, talk some Georgia Southern spring practice. What's that quarterback battle looking like right now? A few interesting names to watch in that. Tomlin, obviously the guy who has experience at Georgia Southern under his belt. So some fun names to watch. J.D. King, focal point of the offense. We'll get the latest on him. And who are going to be those defensive playmakers that step up with the absence of Rashad Boyd and Raymond Johnson, two guys who today, Cody, had their pro days with a ton of scouts in attendance. Two guys you're probably going to see drafted there. Also in attendance at pro day, long snapper Ryan Langham and Savannah State offensive lineman Michael Johnson had a chance to show off in front of NFL scouts. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we'll catch Dallas from Braves Wire. We are 1 week away from Atlanta Braves baseball. So, Cody, I know you were super excited about the Braves coming back. So excited that you scheduled a vacation on a day the Braves aren't playing that I will now have to cover for you.
Going to Colorado, baby.
No, not that. The vacation you have coming up before your other vacation.
Oh, Florida, yeah.
Yep, you just scheduled a vacation
Only for a day.
On a day you had to work. And now your boy's got to cover for you.
I was not aware.
You just don't know how to read a schedule.
Thank you.
No, I need to be heaped with praise right now. I need thanks. I need love. I need adoration. Because you're going to make me sit in there.
No,
for 3
you
and
need
Out,
love. We didn't talk about it. You said you're going to talk about it between you and Kevin. I feel
Listen,
like
we got heated yesterday.
I feel like a kid is getting ready to have like his parents divorce, and I'm just like stuck here.
Yeah, we were fighting in front of the children yesterday. It wasn't a good thing, but like we hugged and made up. It was good.
As all friends should.
We did. We shook it off. Kevin did the Kevin laugh. It's fine. So we worked our way through it. But we got more to come here. 3 and Out coming up next. BJ Bennett, Ben Troop, Kevin Thomas. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us today. If you miss any portion of the show, check it out wherever you get your podcasts.